Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Name It or Flame It. We're back again with some more spice, a little bit more beef this time than normal. No toe heads. Well, I don't know, Blaze, you're kind of there. So we've got Blaze Homewrecker from NSKA and Ice Arrow from CLTA. You want to introduce yourselves?
The A bit is inaccurate because I just run the entire org, but otherwise you were pretty much on spot.
Alright.
Yeah, I thought you did a pretty good job, I think.
Yeet. Alright.
The...
Well, I'll explain the rules and then we'll get into it. So, in a minute, I'm gonna read out the first question and I'm gonna unveil it to you. You'll see 5 questions in the middle. They're your flame questions. You gotta type into this Discord chat the answer to the question that I'm going to ask you. The first person to get it right gets to choose one of the 5 flame questions, any one you want, doesn't have to be in order, to make the other person answer, okay?
Okay.
Yep.
Understand? Right. So, I'm going to open the first question. If you can read it and answer it faster than I can read it out, then go for it. Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so, first question. How long does it take for Gromp to spawn after the first kill?
Oh, fuck me, my giant mine's just going to be showing up here.
Oh, okay, right, Ice.
That-
Right, so you got 1 minute 45, 1:55, 2 minutes or 2:15. It's 2 minutes, so you're both wrong. So that means, basically, if you both get it wrong, then I get to choose a question from the flame that you both have to answer. Okay? I think I always go with this one. But if you could remove one person from the community, who would it be and why?
Okay.
Ice, you can go first. You can answer first.
Yeah. I'm not actually too sure because my personal answer would be Drigger. I don't know. I don't really like his personality that much, and I don't think he, as a person, adds very much to the community. But like, I know a lot of people like him, and he is actually starting to step up in terms of the coordinating content. So not really. So outside of that, probably. Have to say
Ice is probably
bombing, but yeah, no, bombing dude from Hentai
Bombing
Haven.
dude?
I know.
I don't
Yeah,
even know who
yeah.
that is.
No, exactly. He's just this like, I don't know what his problem with me is. It's just every time we tend to play, he just hard flames me, even though he ints all the time. And all I see him doing is just simping for Rani, basically. Every time he types in chat, doesn't really seem to add much to the community apart from that, so wouldn't be missed at all.
So he's like the remainder of like the community from 3 years ago, where everyone used to just simp over Rani and Nikki. I get it. Yeah, I'll be okay with getting rid of that dude. Blaze, who you removing and why?
It's actually quite a hard question because I don't want to cheat and say pretty much what I said with Drigger, because as much as he likes to try and cause incidents, he's actually trying to do constructive things, which is fair. I mean, and Bauer's just a giant meme, but he puts it on, and I don't think he's probably like that when you get to be in a team with him.
I don't know about that one. I think Bauer. I'd be okay with removing Bauer.
I think Bauer's perfectly good. I'd say he puts on 85% of it.
So
Yeah,
who you
most of it-
choosing, Blaze? Who you choosing?
I don't think I dislike anyone enough.
You've got to dislike
Um,
somebody enough to get rid of him.
Well, like, Hodgson annoys me, but it's fun to annoy Hodgson, so I wouldn't want to get rid of him.
Right.
Couchy does my head in a lot.
Alright,
He's
so
pretty
yeah.
irrelevant
Yeah,
in
yeah,
everything he
let's
does.
get rid of
Actually,
irrelevant
So,
Couchy.
Couchy was a good choice.
Okay, right.
Couchy's a good choice.
Get rid of Couchy then. I'm alright with that one. Alright, so we'll move straight on to question 2, because that one took a little while. So, what is Graves' passive called? Quick Draw, End of the Line, New Destiny, or True Destiny? Quick Draw. What are we saying, Ice?
It's not that one. It's not.
It's a mind blank,
so-
yes, that's his E in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. True. Nope. You're both wrong. So quick draw is one of his abilities. End of the line is like his Q. True Destiny I made up. It's actually New Destiny. So again, I get to choose.
I knew it was one of those two, and I 50-50'd it. So.
I get to choose another question.
I think that's Z.
Okay. Who is the worst player on your opponent's team?
So do you mean?
So Ice, who is the worst player on like NSK, and Blaze, who is the worst player on CLTA?
NSKA, I'd have to say. The jungler.
Who's
so
the jungler?
Gekno. Just on the basis that I think he's. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Blaze, but he's pretty new to fives, right? At least that's the impression I get when I play against him. So like, and especially because you're playing jungle, it's such a different role in fives than it is to solo queue. So like, he has decent mechanics, but his pathing basically is solo queue pathing, so it's pretty easy to read. And if you have a team that communicates well, he's super easy to punish.
Thanks. Ice just straight up stealing Byron's answer from last week. Blaze, who do you think's the worst player on CLTA?
I can only think of two of the players.
So
I'm
you've
trying
got
to know who the rest of them are.
You got Spunner's top, Ice jungle, Shadowhopper / craft mid, Honest Sleep AD carry, and Laval in support.
I mean, from what I remember of Spunner's, his top lane champion pool was pretty puddly.
Puddly? What does that mean?
Puddly.
Oh, like a small
Like, champion pool,
right.
champion ocean, or champion puddle.
Right, yeah.
No.
And then Honest likes to run his mouth off a lot when he doesn't seem to ever back up the performance.
Alright, I like
so
that.
I would go with Honest, I think.
I like that.
Did you watch the game from Monday? He was literally our main carry.
No, I like that.
We were also on stream.
I like that.
Fair enough.
Finally some flame. We're getting somewhere now.
Like, he runs his mouth off a lot, and I've never seen him like 10-0 a game yet. So.
Alright, fair play.
I always imagine there's other people that's going to carry CLA.
Like who?
Ice, probably.
Okay.
Oh, come on, you were supposed to be Flame and Ice.
You need to look at your fucking academy team scrims. Because literally in every single scrim game we've had, it's been Honest.
I know. I'm taking the piss, Ice. I'm taking the piss.
It pisses me off when people name it wrong. Like, I know my teammates have, and I have wrong things, but it pisses me off when they say things that are like, when you're wrong about what's bad about them.
Okay, alright. We'll go on to question 3. So, what 2 items make up an Edge of Night? Pickaxe, Caulfield's Warhammer, Vampiric Scepter, or Ruby Crystal? So, write 2 of them. Type 2 of them into chat.
Oh, right.
An Edge of Night. What have we got? We've got Pickaxe, Ruby Crystal. Alright, yeah. Blaze, even if you got it right, which you did, you were too slow. So, Ice takes this one. Finally, one of you got a point. So, you've got number 1, 3, and 4 to choose from to make Blaze answer. Nice.
Between 1, 3, and 4. I mean, okay, let's go with 1.
So, if you had to swap a player between you and your opponent's team, who would you choose and why?
Which one? I can kind of cheat because I've got 2 teams.
Right, Academy, because that's the one that is that's the one that they're actually versing, I think.
No, we're not even in the same group.
You're not even in the same. Right, well, Academy either way. Choose from the Academy.
Academy either way. Okay. Academy either way. It's kind of ironic because I'd probably just swap the junglers.
Alright. Is that your answer?
I think he's already pointed out why I have a weak jungle.
Right.
Why?
So because your jungle is an Overwatch player who's pretending to be a League of Legends player. Alright. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would never work though, because I'd have one scrim game with Byron and I'd just tilt off the face of the planet.
But then I have a valid reason to get rid of Byron.
Wait, you'd get rid of Byron for ice? Wow! Alright, fair play. So you prioritize ice over Byron. Alright, I get it.
I mean,
see.
I'm pretty sure Ice can do everything Byron does.
I mean,
Caller in the
yeah,
game,
but that's because Byron's
fuck a game
bad.
up.
That's because Byron's bad, though. Like, that's not his fault. Right.
At the minute, I don't have a legitimate reason to get rid of him, but Ice would be the one.
Okay. Alright. I'll take it. So, question 4. You ready? So, how much mana does a Karthus Q cost at level 1?
If I know it, all these
We got
low
20
skill
and
champions.
25. Yeah, Blaze got it right. It was 20. It costs 20 mana at level 1 to cast a Q. So, you get to choose between 3 and 4 to make Ice answer.
Let's go with 4.
With 4, okay. So, Ice, who do you dislike who do you dislike the most in the community and why? And it can't be the same one that you answered for who you'd remove.
Okay. So I think within the last couple of days, I'd have to say it's kind of become Pykex.
All right.
Just because I feel like he doesn't. Like he throws his weight around like he's contributing to the about the whole tent ban thing. He's contributing actively with stats, but he's been promising stats now for a split and a half.
I mean, to be fair, we will get the stats. We just got to wait for Endeavour to finish his ranked games. So
Yeah,
one of
so
these days.
never. Yeah, and he just doesn't seem to understand like the whole point of why admins. Like, he gains nothing from putting any of the stuff in general chat. It doesn't serve a purpose for anyone other than just causing unnecessary hassle for admins and drama. And it just seems like it's whining for the sake of whining.
Alright.
Whereas
Yeah.
if you actually feel like you have a valid like point to put across for admins, just put it in a fucking ticket and leave it at that.
Alright,
And if
fair
you don't
play.
like it, then leave.
Oof. I mean, I'm just shocked that we've made it. Like, this is the third episode now, and so far Key's name hasn't been mentioned once, which is not surprising because I don't know whether you can really flame him Ice, but still, here we are. I was fully expecting Key to get flamed there, little shit.
I mean, he runs it down against Spunnus, so
I mean,
that should say
he's
enough, right?
boxic as fuck, but
All right.
he's
so,
a likable boxic.
I mean, likable is a strong word, okay? So, last question. Right, are we ready? So, like, actually, it's 1-1 now. So, whoever takes this question wins and isn't shit at League. So, are you ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Which of these champions does not have an arcade skin? Jinx, Blitzcrank, Malzahar, or Ziggs? We got Alright, yeah, okay, Ice got it first. That was an easy one. So I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little bit of info. When I was doing my little research bit for this question, for some reason the official League wiki counts Vi as having an arcade skin. Vi
Wait,
does
what
not have
wiki?
an arcade skin. The
What-
League
what
League
skin,
wiki. The
I-
arcade skin line. They say that Vi has an
Yeah.
arcade skin. Which is
Yeah, but
utter
which one are
bollocks.
they saying?
Which one they're saying is an arcade?
They're not.
skin?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It just listed her under the arcade skin. Maybe she's just part of the lore. I don't know. Either way, Ice, you get the last question for Blaze. If you could replace one member of your team, who, why, and who would you replace them with? Of your own team, Blaze. So either one. Like, let's go with Academy. Let's stick to Academy. So if you can replace somebody on that team, who'd you replace them with and why?
Who would I replace with and why?
Someone attainable. You can't be like, oh, I'll replace my jungler with fucking Lordio. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
Can have Shenzhen if you want. Still trying to palm him off.
I don't really have an AD carry, so I can't even. I was like, we need an AD carry, but we don't even have one of those, so I can't even do that. So
Wait, you
let's
don't have an
do-
AD carry? What?
Not currently. I've got 3 mid laners and one of them's playing AD carry.
Yeah.
Who's your AD carry on Academy?
Nigel's been playing AD carry, but he's a mid laner, isn't he? So.
Yikes.
Yeah. Ikuya, Curly, and Nigel are all mid laners who can also play ADC.
All right.
So-
I mean, that's.
So far it's worked, but I imagine it's not going to work for much longer. And then I can get the stick out and beat Cerez with it. But
All right. So who you replacing?
I think the biggest problem is replacing. Who do I replace them with? So like, let's.
I don't know whether that's so difficult. Like, it's not that. Surely it's not that much of a tough choice, right?
Okay, so let's start with Byron.
Right.
Because I get flame less if he's on my team. So that's the logic behind it.
Okay.
But I can't think of any good supports that are like a reasonable attainment. I suppose you were pretty good once upon a time.
What do you mean, once upon a time? Huh? Wait, what is this? I'm not supposed to be getting
I think those
flamed.
days are a bit behind you, aren't they?
Wow. Rude.
CNA's bot lane's alright.
Who's
their
CNA's bot
support.
lane again? Who's their support?
Not the support. You take the ADC, not the support.
Oh, you would take ADC.
Wait, who's their bot lane?
It's Serenica and Franklin, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you want Franklin. Yeah, if you're going to take someone, you take Franklin. I mean, he's fallen off since the 7DS days, but he's still a good player.
He's never been on 7DS.
Wasn't Franklin... Who was the one on 7DS?
That was Laudio who ADC'd for us.
I swear to God that Franklin was on that team.
No. He was on Deja Vu Academy with me.
I don't know who I'm thinking of then. Either way, right? So you taking Franklin then, or are you taking Serenica? What's happening?
We'll take Franklin, and then we'll have to work the team out because we can find a way to get a support playing.
Yeah, I don't know. You can probably.
It would have been easier if you'd said senior, but no, you went for academy.
But yeah,
basic.
What do you mean? But right, okay, who would you replace on senior?
What? I want to get Silver back in somewhere, but as a player or a coach, I've not decided yet. But I could always get rid of one of my coaches and get Silver back in, or just replace my top laner with a coach with Silverback.
You have some real strong opinions on removing people from your team.
We'll never play though. He won't play again.
No, I don't think he will.
But like, it's a theoretical question.
It is, right? So
you could have coach back.
What, you want coach back? The fucking admin team coach? You can't even carry them to a single scrim victory.
Yeah, but that's because the admin team's garbage.
True, they do have Callie playing for them, so.
He also doesn't take coaching on the admin team seriously at all compared to how he was in WSR.
And they've got budget frog in the mid lane because it's all Jaws you can play.
True.
Right, who won? That was Ice took that. So Blaze, that means you're officially dog shit at League of Legends. How do you feel?
No different to normal, to be honest.
Alright, okay, so Ice, since you won, you get your little 5 seconds first. Go on, who are you calling out? What do you want to say to anybody?
I don't know, I don't really have anyone to like that I haven't already said my things about in the episode, so
you could say nice things now. Like you want to call someone out, like
people under it, like I don't know. People need to like learn to actually look at what people are good at in terms of like everyone focuses so much on reputation in terms of when doing power rankings and stuff.
Okay.
It's just when people rate like Chime a fucking 5 when he's by far the best like support mechanically and probably also team wise in Div 4 or 3.
Okay. Alright then, Blaze, you got anything to say? Anything at all, literally anything.
Yeah, I think we should all take pity on Cradden after his performances yesterday because the best support was playing jungle and then Turbo went into 0-11 on Jarvan. So
Jesus Christ, that's impressive.
Put some respect on that Cradden name because he needs the love after last night, especially when he did it on stream, which is even worse.
Whose choice was it to put the best support in the league, quote unquote, in jungle? That was
well, to be fair, my jungler was banned, so then it was a case of, alright, who's going to jungle for senior in the one day I had between him being banned and playing Paradox. So we went with Dan because he was the most flexible. And game 1 he didn't int, he played quite well on Kayn, and then game 2 he His score represents the fact he didn't stop trying. There we go.
Okay, right, I'll
Because if
take
he'd
it.
stopped trying, he'd have stopped at 0-5. He kept trying, and then he died 9 more times.
That's impressive. It takes some effort.
I'll put respect on that name.
Either way, boys. Right, so thanks for being on. Appreciate it. And I'll see everybody for the next episode next week. Great.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Valence League Week 2. I am Samuel Initialize Hapgood, and I'm joined by my brother Alexander Nymera Hapgood. And for the first time on the Valence League, we're here with our beautiful faces on cast.
We are, and more beautiful is, of course, the first time you get to see my degeneracy
I know.
of my
It's-
shrine to
oh.
my League of Legends main.
Oh,
behind
no.
me. Yeah.
I thought you were going to be talking about the teams, but no, he went, in fact, to the straight degeneracy. So that's why we weren't allowed cameras for a long time. That right there.
The amount of pixels we have is shockingly low. But yeah,
It's not great.
we have a game for you today. We have several games for you today. What have we got, Sam?
We have, of course, over here on Stream 1, it will be Inca Tern in their first game of the Valence League this particular season around, and it'll be versus Vengeance. Of course, over on the second stream, we've got Deja Vu Academy versus Natural Summon Killers Academy, and the casters taking that one away will be, of course, my old casting partner, Demo, and Kaxka will be over there as well.
Yeah, and they're good casters, so don't pay attention to us. Go do this. No, we're fine.
Exactly.
It'll be a great stream.
We're great too.
And
you can avoid the degeneracy over there, though.
This is a Division 4 match, so we've got some battles there to be had. It's Inca Tern's first match. They haven't played a series yet, whereas Vengeance, they too owed Hentai Haven in the in their first series. I'm sorry, like they're saying that with a straight face. But we have a better.
You've got the right shrine for it.
Sure we do. So this is a best of 3, so it'll be first team to 2 wins. We'll be taking away the win today. We're going to be having Vengeance on the red side for game 1, so potentially giving them some chance to start counter picking later into the draft. But then, of course, Inca Tern being able to snap up some power picks on the blue side. So yeah, what do you think about this matchup? We've cast these teams a little bit before.
We have.
But we'll see who's coming in hot today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Of course, there is Vengeance have come in with the win under the 2-0 win under their belt already, which is always a nice touch, and that's going to give them some confidence coming in. It's the first match back for, of course, Inca Tern, though, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. You can come in cold, but on the other side, people don't know what to expect from you yet. And have you got any thoughts on that yourself?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of players to be keeping an eye out for, though, So I think particularly on the side of Inca Tern, I've been impressed by a Raging Platypus before. He plays big time. So if he gets his hands on one of those, could see some fireworks going across the board. And I think as a whole, Inca Tern play a lot of characters which do well in the early game. You've got bruisers on the top side. You got stuff like Twitch Jungle stuff coming out there, which is
big time.
But yeah, so I think that Inca Tern, I'm looking to see if they can pick up some power early and see if they can roll around and start taking some of those heads in the lanes. Okay.
That's good to know. Of course, for the side of Vengeance, though, we've got so we'll have to be a little bit more careful. Of course, their AD carry player loves his long-range carries, the Jins, the Varus, the Sennas, the Ashe coming out a little bit as well. Many of which actually are pretty in meta right now as well. So I've got to keep my eye on that a little bit.
For sure, and actually, the rest of the team play a lot of teamfight bursty champions as well. You know, they play a lot of teamfight top laners, the likes of Aatrox and Ornn come to mind, and the mid lane play stuff like the Tristana, which has been buffed very recently, and
Mhm.
is very fun to play into a lot of different characters
Ah,
in the mid lane. It's very bursty; you can get those 1v1 kills coming down, but also play stuff like the Syndra as well. So a lot of different things you can go towards there. We're going into champion select, and currently, we actually quite like to cast off of the same microphone because we actually
we
live in the
do.
same house. So, Sam, you're gonna
I
have to
know.
leave your station, come run
I
over
will
here
do.
very quickly.
So I will fade away and live Nymera for a moment.
Sure. So we are coming into the first bans of the day, first bans of the series, and of course it will be Inca Turn on the blue side, as we were saying. And on that team of Inca Turn will be Hodgson in the top lane, Bauer in the jungle, a Raging Platypus in the mid lane, Samvet in the bot lane, and Macman31 as support.
And I have arrived to
Lovely.
announce the second team, which will be Vengeance over on the red side. And that will be Creon King, Shiara Lost and Broken, Azco99, and of course, Sheriff Throne.
And that's a harsh lot in life, isn't it? Being lost and broken.
Well,
Like-
perhaps he's a fan of both Yasuo and Riven, wants to be both lost but found, and what is broken can be reforged. We'll find out how that goes in game.
Could very much be something like that. So we have the first bans coming through. It's Oriana and actually a missed ban, it looks like, from the side of Inca Turn, and only the Fizz being banned thus far from Vengeance.
That is going to be problematic. We've seen this before when teams come in a bit fresh, aren't quite as prepped as they want to be, can drop bans. A little bit upsetting sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit. The Gragas is actually going to be taken away from Bauer. So Gragas, very big teamfight jungler, but also has the ability to gank very early into the game. Has the Predator most of the time, and that allows you to get around the map quicker than some of your other champions in that same role.
Yeah, of course, I don't want to dwell on it too long. It's been banned, but of course, the Gragas and now the Yuumi that's been taken out of the board. Gragas, because the Predator can just respond to things so fast, right? You've talked about that before, and that and the things like the shotgun gank, where you can blow flash, blow body
You
slam,
just chuck
and
everything.
throw something at one person for 5 minutes. That person is gone.
Yes. Okay. So the Kai'Sa is being hovered. This would be the first pick, of course. It is a favorite of Samvet in that bot lane, and it just allows you to set up dive comps with a bit of scaling options as well. Kai'Sa, we know what she can do at 3-4 items, have all those upgrades available to you, allows you to cut through all sorts of different carries. You can cut through tanks, but also you're really good at picking off squishies too because of the damage you have with that single target Q.
I will say though that Azco99 has been putting a lot of time into Varus, which is, as I understand, pretty good into the Kai'Sa with the range advantage.
But instead of Varus, it's going to be Ashe. But,
Not dissimilar though, I suppose, as far as a play pattern with the ultimates.
in a lot of ways, yeah, you're one of these engaged champions. And between the Ashe ultimate and now the Syndra stun with the Scatter of the Weak as well, there's a lot of quite ranged engage here. And the other thing is that, if you hit a Syndra stun on someone, you can follow up with the arrow as well, instead of using the arrow as the initial engage. So for me, you're going to have to be very careful if you're caught alone on this side of Inca Turn already, because there could be a lot of follow-up CC coming in.
Now, I know it's a little off meta, but we have seen it occasionally. Could we see a GLP on this and just double up with the Ashe slows and just have that CC ability? You just want to go straight for the electric? Because I know we have seen GLP on Syndra a few times.
So GLP, you can go with that in either build, whether you're going for the phase rush or you're going for the electric.
Of course,
right?
yeah,
It's not about the runes, really. It's more about the matchups that you're in. It depends how many close melee range champions you're going to be dealing with. Against someone like Victor, it's... having the Ludens can be very good in terms of your poke combo, your burst combo. It gives you much better 100 to 0 if you land some trades earlier on into the laning phase.
Cool. And alongside that, Victor, of course, with the Nautilus locked in, works so well setting up the plasma stacks for Kai'Sa. But the response from Vengeance will be that Thresh does pair up very well with the Ashe, can pull her out of safety. And into the second round bans, Jarvan off the table.
Jarvan's off the table, and that's a favorite of Bauer's, so that could have been picked up into that jungle. And it sets up very well onto the Syndra, because, even though the Thresh is there for the Lantern, you still have to use that Lantern to get someone out of it, and it means that if there are multiple people in there, one person's going to be left for the Wolves.
Yeah, and speaking of things you don't want to be left for the wolves behind, Call of the Forge God is a nightmare taken off the table. That long-range engage tool not allowed onto the side of Creon King.
And Ornn is just applicable in so many different team comps, and I think between the Ashe and the Ornn, if they were both on the same team, the amount of range you have to play with is really scary, particularly for the Victor.
Yes.
Because he can't defend himself if he doesn't have the flash. You don't have the Thresh yourself. Maybe they could lock it. Well, they couldn't lock in something like the Tom Catch because the Nautilus has already been locked in. So you don't have as many peel options on the side of Inca right now. So I'm glad they're banning away some of these more engagey champions, some of the more pick champions as well.
Last two bans were Elise and, of course, Shen. That means that we're looking at an Aatrox first pick second round. There's got to be an easier way to phrase that for the side of Vengeance.
Yeah, and it wasn't the team, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
no,
would've been fun.
Yeah, so Aatrox again is pretty good at these team fights, not in terms of the range that you have in something like the Ornn. But if you ever get a flank and you get onto the back line, you are pretty good at dealing with the likes of a Victor. Kai'Sa can reposition a little bit with the ultimate and has the E for the speed up too. But you do have, again, the ability to put them under pressure.
Yeah, like I'm seeing a big team fight comp right now from the side of Inca.
Yeah, exactly.
Victor Kai'Sa with a Nautilus for engage looks pretty good to me. Locking in the Echo for Bauer is certainly a call, though.
It is, and what this means is now you have a lot of dive. You have
Yes.
the Kai'Sa, you have the Nautilus. The Victor is a little bit off theme with that. You have the likes of the Death Ray to have that longer range follow-up, but it's not quite as easy as something which can just, use mobility spells to get
Yes.
in there and get in your face.
I mean, I suppose there's something to say that a Victor can and regularly does run a teleport mid lane, so you can at least turn up, but it's totally
not the
not
same
the
in a
best
team
dive.
fight, right?
It's
So-
not.
Oh
Exactly.
no, my team is engaging. I'm about 30 feet away. Let me do a Billy Boss TP and teleport half the screen away. It's more about in the
Yes.
the micro play of the fight. It's not about the macro play because that can happen with any champions, right? It's more about Echoes diving on the champion in the back line. Can you reach them? Well, as a Victor, it really does depend, and you're going to have to cut your way through Sejuani now as well. So again, team fight is the name of the game from Vengeance. Got to keep an eye on that, and got to keep an eye on your voice there, brother.
I
It's,
know,
gonna
we're gonna
be
get
some
ready
big
for
team
it.
fights. Big team fights.
Will be, because you know what's also in the front line for Inco Tern? It is the man who goes where he pleases. He has got who knows what in those injections he's got rammed into his shoulders. But speaking of people who can be quite a nightmare to cut through, Mundo will be a challenge.
Will be. I am a little bit worried for Inca Tern in some ways though, because they are overwhelmingly AP damage though.
They are.
Even Kai'Sa's preferred build right now is AP, and you will have a lot of that damage coming in, magic damage from your passive and W as well, which means that you effectively have 5 magic damage or 4.5 magic damage champions on your side, and you're playing into a heavy front line. And Vengeance is a dish best served cold, and you have double glacial in that team, so they're
do.
playing into their own identity.
That's exactly it. And we'll see if Azko can become a stone cold killer. And we're going to have to take a break here as we go into the loading screen for a slight spectator delay. I believe we've got
Oh no,
fresh
we've
new-
actually got the spectator delay. We're going to wait a couple of minutes because
you threw it at me saying we need to go. I was getting stressed,
So
but
was
no,
I. Yeah.
no, I've been debated.
Well, we
We've got
spoiled it
toasted.
slightly, but we'll have something a little bit special to play for you
Oh.
on stream. But that'll be in a couple of minutes. You got to have
Nice.
us for a little while longer, and then we'll try and cut out as much of that loading screen as possible with some cool video stuff.
Indeed, but slight spoiler aside, we've got some team comp to talk about, and you're completely right. There is that kind of AP problem that Inca could run into. On the other side, though, I do think that Kai'Sa is one of the better tank shredders in the game.
Oh, but
If she can stay safe versus an Aatrox, a Sejuani, an Ash Arrow, a Thresh, and a Syndra.
that's the point, right? So Vengeance has CC or sometimes multiple forms of CC on every champion they have. And what that means is that if Kai'Sa runs into the back line, even though some tools may have been used to lock up a certain target on Inca, if the Kai'Sa tries to turn that around with the ultimate, there's probably going to be CC available again when she arrives at the back line.
Waiting down cooldowns will be potentially an effort in futility, is what the suggestion is there. On the other side, though, Nautilus, Kai'Sa, Echo is a pretty fabulous dive combo.
And they scale very well.
They do.
They scale very well.
So the thing is, if you can get on top of that Ash in the bot lane, and there is room to do that, we of course cast a bit of the LJL. There's a team out there called V3, super famous for running an Echo dive comp in the going towards the bot
Although
lane.
they play
And you can
Echo
definitely-
Nocturne.
They do run the Nocturne to drop in bot lane, which is great fun.
Yeah.
Vedius would be proud, but I can see that as a potential win condition too, perhaps.
In some ways, yeah, because again, let's be honest, team comps only matter if you survive through to the point where they're meant to be played in the game. So you think, okay, right, we've got Blade the Rinker on Ash, and we've got a GLP or a Ludens onto the Syndra, got a couple of tank items onto the Sejuani, and some stuff coming in for the other two as well. At that point, if you are even in the game, I think it's quite hard for Inca Tern to win a front to back. It's very hard to win a front to back team fight. You can get picks, and that's something you can do. But even then, with the Thresh being available and a massive front line to kind of assuage some of the members of Inca Tern, it's going to be a little bit difficult unless the early game goes very well for Inca. So I'm looking for some early plays out of Bauer and trying to see if there's any laning prowess to be said, shown particularly in that bot lane. There's a lot of kill pressure in the Kai'Sa Nautilus.
Well, those are the expectations that we've set. Inca Tern need to look towards the early game and the dives, getting their Echo, their Kai'Sa, perhaps the Victor rolling to a point where they're just ahead. And they scale super well as well. Other side, though, if Vengeance come in, even to mid-game team fights, they come in with 1 or 2 items around objective fights, we here on the cast reckon they're coming in with a fairly
Mhm.
significant advantage. A lot of CC, a lot of great team fight.
Sure, and actually, this wouldn't actually be an awful game for a GLP. You were talking about that right at the start of the draft for the Syndra.
Savant
GLP,
play-by-play caster.
yeah, no, there's something to be said about that. I think that the Ludens
Savant.
will be fine. But anyway, we're going to go into that a little bit later because we're going to go into the loading screen, and that means we've got a video.
Ooh.
See you in a bit. Let us know. Okay, we need to count down, so let us know when to unpause. Hodgson's Mundo before?
I think I have.
And I seem to remember it being a terrifying thing.
He did get an Ocean Soul
Yeah.
and like late game and wandered into a fountain and survived. From what I
Yeah,
remember.
that was some hefty levels of tankiness there. So we see that Mundo is farming well on the top side. Going to be denied the cannon though, it looks like, which is kind of nasty, but not too consequential. The XP's still been there, and he's still getting himself some grass procs in these early trades too, stacking up that HP.
Umayan might have returned to the LEC, but so has Mundo to Hodgson's hands, and anybody in the Valence League who watched the last time I saw him cast that should be well aware that that is true nightmare fuel, and that's what G2 really fears. It's this man on Mundo.
I do want to spend a bit of time talking about a couple of the rune choices this game.
Do tell. Which particular runes are we thinking?
There are 3 which I'd want to have a look at. One is the Electrocute on the Echo.
Yes.
Often we see the Dark Harvest coming out of that jungler just because you are often execute button. As we speak about that Echo, running into the Sejuani.
He is. He's going to get checked up as a fight in the bot lane as well. Nautilus hook land. Ignite came down. There's a flash gone already. They're flashing and trying to get it. Sanvete has been exhausted though, and that's a nightmare, but the turret shot wasn't enough, and that means that Sanvete comes out with a kill. Having flashed in, it's a good hook, it's a good flash and flay, but it's only going to save Sheriff Throne's life. And stand aside, Asco99, there is a new sheriff in town, and it's Sanvete who gets that first kill.
And gets the first kill, gets first blood, extra 400 gold into the pocket of Kai'Sa, who loves to get those early items even earlier and get ahead of that curve and become that strong diving champion. We also saw the Echo was fighting, nothing came about that. There were some fights all across the map, but of course it was just the kill going the way of Inca Tern's bot lane. But it's not just that, it's 4 summoners away from the bot lane of Vengeance, while there's still a flash available on the Nautilus, which means that there is a lot of playmaking opportunity for this 2v2 now.
Yeah, and it means Vamp Scepter to BF Sword difference, which is a little bit rough for a lane that we already talked about needing to get snowballed.
For sure. I mean, one thing which I do like is the Crown King on the Aatrox is managing to take some farm away from the Mundo. It's going to be slightly above a 10 CS difference once these waves end up meeting. And it looks like this is almost a permanent freeze in the top lane because the Cleavers are coming in to take away those last hits.
Sejuani. She's in the
Sejuani's
bush.
top lane too. Remember, there's the melee synergy here. Stacks with the E very quickly.
Okay, let's watch it. The Arctic Assault's yet to come out. The Infernal Chains do pull Mundo back. That was a great Darking Blade to keep him knocked up. He's got his ultimate running. The stun's there, though. That's going to keep him in place, and Shiara will get that kill. Mundo is not tanky enough yet.
No, there were 2 flashes available from the top 2v2 of Vengeance. Hodgson not wanting to use that himself. That's well played by Creon King for me because he set up the lane to be frozen, meaning that Mundo had to have a long way to run back to tower. Even with the movement speed you get from your ultimate, it wasn't enough. The CC came in and Mundo was taken down.
Yeah, regeneration, not quite enough there. They were able to burn them down. Creon King and Shiara, you talked about that melee synergy. Turned out pretty true up there.
Yeah, it's pretty nice because once that permafrost comes in and you know it's the guaranteed CC, it makes some of the conditional CC, like the 2nd and 3rd Qs out of the Aatrox, the Darkened Blade to come through. And it just means that you just get CC into CC and it's a chain of hell for...
Oh, not another hook. The Lantern's there, but look where Bauer is. He's going to throw down the Parallel Convergence, and that's a root on Sheriff Throne. He does just get out of that stun radius.
He does, but again, this is HP away from this lane, which is kind of going badly in the 2v2 now, even though the early trades were going the way and the Ashe and the Thresh. The Kai'Sa now has come back to lane with a BF sword. That is bursty as heck, which means that probably we're going to see either ourselves an Infinity Edge or a Storm Razor or, well, any of the BF sword items. That makes sense, right?
At the top side again, though, they're going to see the Sadism not popped, but that's a level advantage up there. And trades going interestingly for now versus the Mundo.
So, I kind of flubbed on that whole, oh man, the BF sword means that the Kai'Sa's going to build a BF sword item. I wonder which one it's going to be, because we have seen in seasons past, we've seen Storm Razor. The stats have been changed on that item. The costs have been changed on that. I know we've seen Essence Reaver a bit out of some Kai'Sas, particularly I remember LWX on FPX.
Love that.
He loved that build. And he's one of the Chinese AD carries. And
former world champion.
Yeah, he did very
well.
Well,
he's the current world champion, rather. Let's be real. Let's not.
So yeah, we'll see exactly what Sanvet wants to go towards on that. It does mean that there's arguably an earlier power spike for the Kai'Sa, because sometimes we see stuff like the Manamune, which stacks up into that. It gives you really good single target Q damage throughout the game, but it doesn't necessarily give you the early AD for some of the trading.
No, potentially not, but of course, if this turns out like an LPL game, then gold income is largely exaggerated. And that's probably why you love that since from that point, because you just get so many damn kill involvements one way or another.
And also the CDR is nice, right? It gives you your ultimate more often. Also means that you don't have to go towards the AP items for the cooldown reduction, something like Nash, which does give you that same 20% cooldown reduction, so it gives you just extra branching build options as Kai'Sa, which as AD carries go, Kai'Sa probably has the most build options in the game. Hook
Oh,
lands.
it's onto the thresh. He's got the aftershock dunking. The exhaust has gone down already onto Sanvete, but he's not doing anything with it right now. Macman is walking at them menacingly, but he's walked too far. He's under tower and has to flash out. The Ash arrow comes out now. Sanvete's in trouble. He's been slowed, and that Ranger's focus has been popped, but he's not quite in range.
TP.
But Creon King has teleported in. There's a relentless pursuit that's not actually relentless. Killer instinct, I apologize. That's not Lucian, and it's going to die potentially.
I'm not sure
No,
they wanna
that's
do that.
not going to want to do that. Do get the king, but that tower shot's going to follow him, and a Raging Platypus will get that kill in a bit of a scuff fight. It's a 2-1.
Top playing prio means you can make global plays. That's something you can say there. Hodgson not choosing to teleport at that point. Oh, actually, the Syndra's going to find out the Victor here. Might look for a kill.
Sejuani's here as well. They're thinking about it. There is a cleanse, but no defensive spells here. Going to try and find something,
Oh,
but that was
close.
a good empowered Q shield to keep Victor alive. Siphon Power is a useful ability.
It was. We saw the Dark Harvest there come out of the Syndra. I was going to talk about that a little bit earlier before the first blood came in the bot lane.
No
actually.
chance. The second of the runes you wanted to mention.
Yeah, so basically Syndra with Dark Harvest misses out on having the ability to electrocute trade in lane, which means you can kind of have like leave a Q on the ground, stun someone into auto Q, and get a really good set of laning trades. But the Dark Harvest, we know about the outplay button on Syndra. It means that if someone gets low and you pop your Q ultimate, they do take a lot more damage, and there's guaranteed damage as well, of course.
Yes, it is, and that guaranteed damage can be pretty nasty, and stacking up those Dark Harvest stacks early onto a game means that your burst radius just gets that much bigger.
It does.
Do we know how many
indeed.
stacks she's at? I'm assuming it's only been 1 or 2, right?
It's probably only going to be just the one, I believe, because there hasn't been too much fighting in that mid lane. Actually, there hasn't been very much fighting at all, and that means that the Victor has found a perfect hex core at only 11 minutes into this game.
Hodgson's going to get pulled back. He is going to pop his ultimate. Watch those stock arrows go right back up. And Corporate Mundo doing corporate things.
It is indeed. However, as on the other side of the map, in the bot lane, looks like it's going to be Inca taking the first dragon in the game. It's going to be an Ocean Drake going the way of them unless Vengeance have anything to say to them, which I don't think they do right now.
They're going to turn up, but it will be too late. A Raging
Oh,
Platypus
Thresh
has
is
thrown
caught
down
now.
that gravity well, but I think we're going to watch that Lantern come out. It's decent stun here, and that's a good arrow that still gets flashed into. The cleanse was badly timed, and Lost and Broken picks up that kill. Only broken person here right now is that Victor, but Bauer has to use his Chrono Break to try and find his way out. Does manage to phase shift onto that the kill onto the Sheriff Gunner. Finally, Lost and Broken does get the kill in return. It's a 2-for-1 thus far, but Macman is in trouble. The slows are huge, and Shiara will pick up her sister's kill.
So a handful of small missteps there. Raging Platypus during the straight line flash. Of course, the geography didn't help there, having to flash into the Asher, and then of course the cleanse coming in late, meaning that the Ash Stone went through for the full duration. And then not being at, well, with the Victor dying so early, even with this early Hex core, meant that the Chaos Storm was not there to add the extra team fight damage. And the team of Vengeance just came through and wiped out a load of kills.
They did, and they've got a lot of plates as well in this mid lane. That will be the third shortly, or not, because the Victor Laser stops that from coming true and just about saves that plate.
It does. And the Victor Laser is one of the strongest wave clear tools in the game. We've known that since Season 5. It happens so often. But that is still good plates away from that mid lane. And there is, however, a Herald in the inventory about on the Echo.
Yes.
It means that there is the possibility of more plates to come. They only have a minute left to cash in said plates, though. Let's see if they want to force it in any one lane in particular.
Yeah, I'll have to see where it goes. Could go in a number of them. I could see the bot lane as well if they want to think about going for that dive anyway. It could set up for pressure down there. Also worth pointing out, of course, that there is a fairly sizable goal lead thus far for Vengeance, and we talked about how we favoured their team comp if they were even or ahead coming up the first or second items.
Yeah, exactly right. And particularly the Syndra being very strong is pretty scary. And of course the Sejuani, which we normally talk about survive in the early game, has thrived. Has 2-0-1 on the scoreline, has a full Cinderhulk, building towards what it looks like Ninja Tabi as well, which will very much help versus that Kai'Sa in the late game team fight in terms of the front to back team fighting potential. And what that means is that if this does evolve into a true team fight game with the 5v5s, the front line from Vengeance is going to be that much stronger. Echo's found his way into the bot lane. Let's see if this results in anything.
Asco, I think, is going to be until he fires out the arrow, but that only keeps Sanvete stunned for a little bit.
Sejuani's here.
It's not going to be enough because here comes that killer instinct. Bauer chrono breaks back, and now Shiara is in trouble. following after Ashe. It's the Freljord duo that fall down. Not a great
Syndra's
play. Syndra is here, but it's a 2v3 still. Topside is fighting, but the bot lane is where the action is because another dredge line lands and Thresh is sent to where the rest of his souls go, the grey screen.
Yeah, that's something to say, isn't it? That was a bit of an overstep from the entire team of Vengeance. You could see they were looking for the play, which is why the Ashe ult came out. And because they lost 2 members on this bot side of the map, sorry, 3 actually, because the Ashe of course died as well, this does mean that the first turret will be going down in the bot lane. No plates, of course, it is past that 14-minute mark, but it is gold over to the inventory, particularly of this Kai'Sa, which is going for the Essence Reaver, and a lot of kills too. So Sam Vete going to be very, very happy with that last series of plays.
Massively, and it does look like he is going what I think is towards the Essence Reaver build with the Coalfields and the BF sword.
But he just picked up a pickaxe, so who knows now?
Who knows? He's just got lots of AD and some CDR. Could be many things.
So I think what that is going towards the Essence Reaver, but picking up the pickaxe for the Q evolve very early.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
That's what I would theory. Of course, it could just be
Muramana with.
No, but then what do you do with the call?
Who knows? But
You know
Muramana Essence Reaver.
At this point,
pickaxe for that.
At this point, it's guess.
So tier.
At this point, it's like guess who, but with item builds.
Yeah.
It's like guess which. It's who's that Pokemon? But what's that item?
It's Jigglypuff seen from above.
It is
It's
that.
a Muramana by means less traveled. Who knows? I think probably your call is the most sensible. Going for that Q evolve early and still going for the Essence
There may be a
Reaver.
method.
We'll find out.
There may be a method to madness, but then the other thing is that he's stopped off for the Berserker Greaves now
Oh
as
yes,
well.
he has.
They're a really good source of attack speed, one of the highest attack speed items in the
They
game, in a very efficient package. Excuse me, because it's only, of course, the 1,100 gold for the Berserker's Greaves, but of course it stops you from having that first item power spike, which do have, those unique passives which tend to increase your power.
All right, well, let's set up a couple expectations because we're seeing some contesting around Dragon right now into this blue side jungle of Vengeance because an Infernal Drake is spawning in less than 30 seconds and both teams are looking to try and find a way to have access to that river. We're seeing a lot of people flexing around there, but vision control thus far largely in the favor of Inca. There are a couple of pink wards in inventories and in entrances, but Lost and Broken is about to be lost to the grey screen as we're looking as Chrome King comes in. But that's a great gravity well. Bauer now on top of him, but I think we're going to see a dead Sam Vete who's killer inserted into a really difficult situation. Sheriff Gun is the one that picks that up, and it is a 1-for-1 AD carry for mid laner.
And it's messy because both of them give shutdowns at that point. The Syndra down for the first death, but with the Kai'Sa down as well, this might be a lot of damage. Might even be the full tower in mid lane as the death ray's already been used.
Okay, we're seeing Nautilus go in. I'm not sure he wants it that hard though. His Aftershock is worn off. Macman flashing out, but he gets stunned in place, and Sejuani gets the kill. That's another kill over, and with 2 people dead, that's surely Infernal Drake over to the side of Vengeance.
And Echo's been just about caught there. What this might be is a Herald for
Trade,
Dragon
yes.
trade, but it looks like actually no, Inca do not. No, they do. They've decided against it again. They are going to start up that Herald. They're going a big back and forth. They're trying to decide and make up their minds.
Yeah, they were lacking a little vision control in terms of what was going on in the red side jungle, I surmise, but we have seen Creon King head towards that top lane to pick up the wave that's about to hit tower. We saw that Lost and Broken wasn't really in position, and that means it will be, in the end, the Herald trade for Cypher.
Yeah, it will be. There's now been a needlessly large rod picked up in the inventory of Syndra. It's a little bit strange. It means that the Luna's completion, of course, won't be there quite in time, but it is a lot of AP. So again, some interesting build choices, I'm going to put it very diplomatically, from both teams at this point. Speaking of other items, the tanky top laners are getting tankier. We have a Sunfire complete from Mono building towards the Spirit Visage as well, whereas the Aatrox is going slowly but surely towards that Death Stance. Once that's completed, this Aatrox is going to be very hard to deal with as a diving frontliner.
Yeah, he is. We're seeing 2 towers is the advantage thus far for Inca, even if there is still a gold lead in favor of division in terms of Vengeance. We're seeing the second Rift Herald, although summoned in mid lane. We're going to see whether they can push this lane down. We're going to see at least the Herald Charge come in, taken pretty low, but there's no wave. And the Ashe ult comes sailing past. Ship, not quite in the night, but overhead.
Does go overhead indeed. So that is 1 engaged tool down from the side of Vengeance. However, they have many more. The Sejuani ult came up during that series of plays. They could have led off with that, of course, as well. And without the Nautilus flash, that is 1 target, which is very easy to lock in place and kill.
Now, in a pro game, I might call this perhaps the time for a lull state. We've got no objectives.
Yes, it's Balance League.
The Herald's gone down, but again, this is the Balance League. This is Division 4, no less. And I suspect a little bit more blood. So you've got maybe 20 seconds to get a colour point in. What do you want to talk about? You've got... I'm going to time it. Whether 20 seconds. That's my call.
Okay, well,
Before
I'm
more
looking at where
action
people are on the menu. Oh man, the red buff is dead. I can't talk.
Oh, okay, it's fine.
So I think that, this is the analogy of boxing fights.
Yes.
Where you've got like your star-studded lights, your title cards, where everything's very well polished. Presumably FTX. And about that talking, it wasn't 20 seconds.
It was about 15.
I think they're going to be gracious enough to leave me to maybe at that point. As we see an ult come in from Aatrox.
Yeah, okay, never mind that. We've got ults traded for ult. Chaos Storm versus World Ender. Flash out of the gravity well. Flash out of Aatrox range, though, and I think that will be enough with the speed up from Q, but the chase down will continue. Creon King really wants that.
And this is why it's a boxing ring, because these are like the underground fight rings. These are the places where just there's blood every day of the year, and people don't want to stop for any of this star-studded light business. It's all about the punches and rolling with them.
There might not be serious grievous bodily harm because no one's in a body bag, but there is damage to structures and property because the mid lane turret does go down.
I wonder what the bill will be. Who's going to be footing the bill for that? Tournament organizers?
Well, like,
You're going to have to call John Joe and say, hey, we've got some property damage.
Yeah, that's it. Like, actually, the thing is, it's not even like there's an Institute of War or anybody who's running this anymore. Who builds these structures now? They just turn up?
It's the minions. The minions that we slaughter day in, day out are the people that are also the caretakers.
They have taken the means of production away from the summoners that have enslaved them. They are the ones building the rift now. Are they like forcing the champions to fight on this map now? Is that what happens?
Maybe maybe that's it. Maybe
they are the real
ones in control.
I certainly cost about as much gold in the game as a minion by the time I'm done. That's for sure.
And speaking about gold, relatively even. All things said and done. We said that there was an early lead for the side of Vengeance, but it looks like actually it's come back pretty even. World Ender blown there by the Aatrox just to escape.
That health bar problem.
Yeah, and Hodgson, we talked about it before. Once he gets rolling on this Mundo, he is very scary. And much as he did die that once from the top lane, managed to farm just fine. He reached his second level of his ultimate, not falling down in XP to this Aatrox either. So the Mundo's ready to fight. And who else is ready to fight? The Ashe, but the arrow goes wide once more.
Yeah, just looking for those lane ganks. The Ashe. This one didn't pay off. About a minute to this man in Drake. So we've got to again check in on the vision. Very much in the favor of Inca Tern right now, but some pink boards have just gone down to offer at least some window of control for Vengeance. Keep an eye on those cooldowns, so we know the Ashe Arrow is down, but pretty much everything else is up apart from flashes on a Raging Platypus and on Creon King. I'm assuming World Ender will be up in time.
World Ender is a relatively low cooldown spell, and with 30% CDR and inventory, will be coming up very soon as well. Northland's going to get hooked. Has flash, has ultimate.
Will be very little, but here comes the re-engage, and Thresh's aftershock will be just enough to keep him safe, but not much more out of that attempted fight. We've got another hook, but not quite.
So Skillsource just going wide there. But the interesting thing for me, the important thing for me is that Inca Tern's mid lane turret still survives. There are enough people in this mid lane, and with the early Q evolve from the Kai'Sa, who of course did go towards that Essence Reaper. It was a stop off before it looks like the Rage Blade is going to be built up afterwards. That Q evolve on the Kai'Sa means you have a lot of wave clear you wouldn't have in other builds. You have the extra AD to just cut through those waves.
All right, eyes on Bauer. He's going to try and find a way into the back of his Dragon Pit if he wants to steal it. They've lost vision control. They're going to take out this pink ward. Raging Platypus over the wall as well. Found a good stun, and that will be a secure by Bauer, who managed to Chrono Break his way straight back out. Creon King now in the Chaos Storm. He's going to be slowed down, and actually Samvete thinks he's got it, but there's a heal. Was it just a bait? The kill was there, and a flash out. Stylish plays from Inca Tern.
Yeah, well calculated from Samvete on the Kai'Sa there. Has the item breakpoints, has the extra damage available to finish off Creon King, who did stand in that Chaos Storm a little bit longer than is acceptable and took a lot of damage for it, and was therefore finished off by the AD carry. So more gold once more into the side of Kai'Sa, who's gone back, finished a Rage Blade with that kill as well. So 2 items on that champion, very strong.
That's where the pickaxe went to. It was towards the Rage Blade. Essence Reaver as well complete. That is just a very strong Kai'Sa, and we said we needed to see that pick get ahead if they wanted a chance versus the very tanky front line. I think that classifies as pretty fed.
It's pretty fed right now. 2 items compared to the 1+ components of the Ashe. This Kai'Sa will be able to do some good damage, but that does depend on whether he gets hit by the Syndra, who is very strong in her own right, almost there at the needs the large rod building into the Rabadon's Death Cap. And once you have those 2 items complete, with 0 MR built up on this Kai'Sa, you are in 100 to 0 territory.
That is looking mighty, mighty fancy for a Dark Harvest stack right there. If the Syndra lands at least one ability.
Yeah, any instance of damage would proc that. It doesn't proc on DOT, which means that it's less broken on brand, which is nice. I appreciate that.
It was really disgusting.
Yeah, because you proc Leandries with like, you burn them to. It's a lot of damage.
And you've also got to trust your teammates to move away from you so they don't allow the ult to bounce a bit more. And when does that ever happen?
When does that happen? Yeah, I mean, I've played enough ARMs to know that people don't understand what brand ult does.
Snuck into the back of the Baron pit to Inca Tern there, but they're just going to walk away. I wonder what they were thinking about it. It was 2 items on Kai'Sa.
But look at those 3 champions. One piece of CC lands, the Kai'Sa comes flying forward. Of course, the Nautilus and the Echo have their own ways of walking forward too, which means that this is the dive trio. They can do a lot of damage fighting between the top lanes, see if this amounts to anything.
Yeah, Conqueror stacked from Creon King, but there's just a lot of healing, really, for Hodgson right now. And he's kind of happy taking that trade.
The briefcases keep landing, so there is a lot of poke still onto the Aatrox, the ultimate available from the Mundo. So really not much kill pressure now available for either of these top lanes. They do kind of go back for a second bite at the pie. And second item from the Mundo has come in as well. The Spirit Visage for the extra healing will be very important. We know how core that is to a Mundo. Just makes him that much harder to remove.
Yeah, and when Syndra can be pretty reliant on burst, that can make things a little harder.
Definitely can. So, second item completed by Ashe as well. Actually
That's a
going
big deal.
towards the Essence Reaver second. That means no Runa's Hurricane second. That is a massive power spike for most Ashe players. Normally you see either the Essence Reaver or the Blade Throwing, but this time it's going to be both picked up by Azuko on the Ashe. Interesting choice.
I suppose waiting for that third item spike, then probably of the Hurricane we have to hope, because I think, this Ashe is going to be the main source of damage versus this Mundo.
What it does mean, yeah.
And actually, to be honest, the Nautilus as well, who's pretty tanky at this point as well.
Yeah, but the good thing is, it does give you the CDR for your Ashe ult, which we have seen thrown out a lot. And we know that Avengers want to be playing around that. So you keep throwing that out, you can catch someone out, get all the CC coming in. That's going to be the Nautilus missing the Sejuani with the hook, and the parallel convergence not registering.
You saw an attempted bush bait there. It was the old Fnatic death bush, but Fnatic Inca Tern are not. They are in fact a bird. And they don't manage to pull off the bait.
They don't, and what that means is that we have another series of relative calm.
We do. We've got 8 to 8. It's not a kill a minute for once. What are we doing? What's going on Division 4? What is this?
Yeah, I don't really know how to follow that up. This is quite alien to me.
I know. I'm quite upset.
Speaking of it, do you have a favorite Alien movie?
Do I have a favorite?
Of the Alien franchise, or just
probably
Alien
just
movie?
the first one. I really like the first one. I think it's because it's more than a horror movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like the Alien is only ever on screen for 5 minutes.
Oh, but it's so good. Its presence is
But the presence is so massive, and that for me is just a brilliant bit of movie.
It's the metaphorical sword of Damocles. You know it's going to happen at some point. When is it going to happen? The Valance League sword of Damocles is, there's going to be a bloody great team fight. When is it happening? Look at this. This is going to be...
I can spot the sword of Damocles, and it looks very big and purple and lives in the top side of the river.
It does indeed. But the thing is, though,
flash in,
okay,
because that's going to be a depth charge, but it's a flash out of Ashe as well. Thresh is now in trouble. Sheriff Front needs to run for the hills.
That's
a big Syndra forward, but I think she's going to regret having done that. Chiara's gone in, but Raging Platypus picks up Lost and Broken, who finds himself back in the death change to Bauer, now in the front line. But Creon King is in a difficult spot and has to flash out. It's a single pick after a lot of summoners burned, but that is advantage over to the side of Inca Tern.
And with the health bar so low onto this Sejuani, who doesn't have a Warmog, this is probably going to be a Baron start as well. A lot of summoners blown, a lot of ultimates blown, and of course the Syndra kill tried to go for that one shot onto the Kai'Sa, but with the heal and the killer instinct, it had enough just to keep himself afloat, and this is going to be a big team fight win, which we're talking about, and of course the Baron going the way of Inca Tern.
Yes, it'll be a trade for the Mountain Drake, but we saw it. The Sword of Damocles hung over the top of Lost, and when that string was broken, he was certainly the and broken part of his name. And this is a death cap, at least for Syndra. That's something, but
had that in the last fight wasn't enough, right?
Right.
That was the thing.
I lost it behind the microphone, so I missed that, so that's my problem. I should have called that out. I was trying to set up too many expectations. missed that key point.
It's all right. It's an
But
all right item. That
There
it's
is
a
a
fancy
Lich
hat.
Bane in for Victor as well, which is worth pointing out, and that will be a lot of damage available for this Baron shove. It's only about 1,000 gold lead, but
Sure.
there is room
Well, yeah,
for that to expand pretty significantly.
And that with that Lich Bane is why Syndra got burst out, because Victor just turned it around, flash forward after the flash follow as well, the Cow Storm already running, and just managed to get that last tick of damage onto Lost and Broken.
Yep, and we're seeing the shoves in. It's going to be a 4-1. Mundo's roaming to the top, and the rest of Vengeance having to try and stop this mid lane push. But they might be a little late to the party. They were having to lantern people in from a bit of the middle of nowhere there.
A little bit, and you'll notice there's only 2 lanes being pushed instead of the 3 from the side of Inca Tern. I think that's a good way to approach this Baron push because of the amount of engaged tools from the side of Vengeance. You don't want to have someone sat in one of their lanes and then picked off on their own because an Ash Arrow came in, and that kind of stunts your Baron push a bit. It's just slightly more safe.
It really is, and safe is the name of the game because there
I thought it was
is
League of Legends.
No, it's actually safe.
Oh,
They renamed it.
It's new to me.
Yeah. After Valorant and that whole deal, they just said we just need to rename,
And,
rebrand to go with the new login screen.
It's a new life, a better life.
Yeah,
And,
safe. It stands for summoners attack.
Are free eventually.
Free. It's not real estate. We want to go free
Speaking of
enterprises.
Speaking of real estate,
Yeah.
that's more property damage.
It
on
is.
the side of Enders. They're racking up a really huge tab here.
They are
Like,
wrecking
there's
up
a lot of
massive
towers
tab.
being broken. It's 5-1 in the tower score.
It is, but it's not actually all that big of a build difference. It's 47k to 45k, which you kind of expect more with a 5-1 tower lead, but that probably speaks a little bit of the shutdowns and some of the kills
It does.
and the farming that actually Vengeance have done.
Also, a lot
but
of
that
damage
is a
onto
lot of
Kai'Sa.
damage. Kai'Sa has just got the flash, but that was damn close
That
to being a
could have
kill.
finished the kill, though.
But Bauer turns it right back around,
Victor?
and Lost and Broken does it again. Oh, but Victor, a raging Palafus is sent to the land down under.
Oh,
and
it's a
that's
good
a
Sejol.
great Sejol. Double kill for the Ash. They're going forward. Bauer now in trouble, who used ultimate previously. It's a 3-for-1, and that Baron push is swiftly stifled.
And that's why it was dangerous to push on 3 lanes. Turns out it was still dangerous to push on just the 2. The engage comes in after, a huge Syndra stun landed onto the Kai'Sa, forced out so many defensive summoners there and so many defensive tools. It did cost Syndra their life, but with the amount of CC and the amount of damage the tower was doing, for God's sake, it means that a lot of kills go the way of Vengeance. It's actually going to be return tower for them too, even making it slightly less tilted to the 5-1. The 6-1 is going to get them the 2nd tower of the game only.
Well, we saw the Highwaymen of Inca Tern ask your money or your life. And Vengeance went for the money and made Inca turn into jailbirds, of all things, straight back to the Death Realm. And it's going to set them up for a bit of not Baron setup, Mountain Drake setup, which will be in about 1:30. They can get some vision control down if they've got anything in inventory. Doesn't look like they do, actually, so it's just going to be the one ward in that brush entering past the Raptor.
At least they're not the Mayan turns because of that.
No.
No, because if they were the
Blood
Mayan turns,
sacrifice?
no, I was going to say that every game ends at 2012.
Of course.
We would have been casting.
That's the reason. Did they have to rename? Is that what it was? Were they
Well,
originally the Mayan?
Well, if you either have to win or you lose. Either way, like if you haven't won the game, you have to MF.
It's not the game. You have to MF. You have to play Misfortune.
You have to FF. You have to FF at 2012. That's it. 20,
Okay.
20 minutes, 12 seconds. That's only the Mayan turn.
That will join Build Wolf. You're
Sure,
now the
cool.
captain of the Siren.
Yeah, cool. Right, that works. Speaking of your money, your life, it looks like actually Raging Platypus is going to be going for both of them with this huge damage build with Void Staff being built up alongside that Lich Bane. I think it's actually very interesting that the Sejuani's gone for an Iceborne Gauntlet. I really don't think that's the item this game. Look at the amount of AP that we saw on this side of Inca Tern. This is a really heavy AD item. It doesn't give you any HP. The CDR is nice, and it gets her up probably to 40% CDR alongside the Cinderhulk and the Righteous Glory as well. I would have loved that to be something like a Spirit Visage or a Stone Plate or something like that. Even an Abyssal Max would have been really, Adaptive Helm would have been really nice too. But, I mean, it's slightly more damage, and it gives you some more disruption. But, yeah, I'm not so sure that's the build.
Well, we'll have to see how it plays out in this fight. If you can get on top of Sanberi, it'll be more damage, which is always a nice touch. As the top laners continue to fight, Dragon spawns in 5. There is a hurricane onto this Ashe. Now, you called that out earlier.
It's
an Infinity Edge onto Sanvete. Those 2 carries are going to be your keys. No flash on Sanvete, but there is for the Ashe. Both ultimates up as well, so they're at least a killer instinct to try and reposition that Kai'Sa. But the fight down bot lane will surely be continuing. There is going to be some positioning, at least at first. Stun lands. Not much more for now.
And it does look like Mundo is being able to get at least wave priority. Not going to have kill oppression because of the death stance. This Aatrox is just going to keep regenning off the minions, regenning off of Mundo's body as well. And it just means that there's no kill pressure, no tower pressure on that top lane. It's only priority. What that means is that the Mundo can get teleports. That's the one thing it means.
Oh, that's a good hook. And that might start the fight. Certainly summoned the TP. Lost Unbroken has used the cleanse, but Sanvete has Killer Instinct, and that instinct was true. This is a massive amount of CC. That gravity well from a Raging Platypus was all that was required to start up a triple kill for Sanvete. We called it out earlier. The Quadra, there's a Penta available. Can Creon King play the hero? He's going to have to. Raging Platypus is there. They're going to put it on a platter. Pentakill for Sanvete. Infinity Edge will take them to infinity and beyond. It'll be a Mountain Drake. It'll be a shove into this mid lane turret as well. Maybe, I think just maybe, that might have broken the game.
And if the Jailbird Sanvete just scraped in 5 more onto the tally on his cell block wall as he's going to make his way to his escape plan in the Nexus, going to run it down mid, take down the mid inhibitor, and see if they can get more if this is going to be... I don't think it is going to be more than that because the respawns have come in. Huge team fight from the side of Inca Tern. The Syndra and the Ashe were blown up before the Aatrox start wreaking havoc, and that meant that the damage just didn't register through the rest of the team fight for Vengeance.
Yeah, well, we know Vengeance is best served cold, and they were served on a platter of stuns and CC right up for Inca Tern. And that was a beautiful Killer Instinct to get onto Lost.
Yeah, it was really big.
It was so nice.
Because it got through the initial CC. You know, we were talking about, oh, there's always more CC. Well, looks like actually Vengeance didn't have a chance to really aim it at the Kai'Sa, who then just kind of got behind and out of range of that follow-up CC. The Nautilus engage was huge, and then the multi-man depth charge got a lot of work done into the gravity field as well. That's a huge team fighting tool from the Victor. The CC just landed from Inca Tern, and the damage followed up very shortly afterwards.
Well, yeah, a bit like being in the planet core in Naboo, there is always a bigger fish. And that bigger fish this time around was the Kai'Sa, who did her best to swim her way through the troubled and stormy waters to pick up the stellar pentakill there.
Yeah, and we don't see too many of those, actually. Importantly, that has bought up this Kai'Sa a full Phantom Dancer, which means that actually...
that's a lot of crit.
It does, it's a lot of crit, and it also means that the E upgrade has now come in from Kai'Sa. It means that you can't just point and click the Syndra ult if she uses that E correctly, gets out of range. And with the Phantom Dancer shield, will just be that extra bulwark of HP to get through on the Kai'Sa, making it that much harder to take away that golden damage from the side of Inca Tern.
Okay, another hook. Shiara's picked up, and that Iceborne Gauntlet not doing huge amounts right now. Depth charge comes in. Bit of a bounce house, and not a lot more thus far. Baron control, though, still very much in the favor of Inca Tern if they're down an engage tool.
Sure, so with no Warmogs yet again on the Sejuani, it does mean that she has to recall, and that means that this potential Baron start is not going to come through, because of course it was the depth charge used to nothing blown on the side of Vengeance. So the amount of tools used went in the favor of Vengeance just this one time.
They don't have a lot of things to blow. They've still got no flashes available, and that means that Inca Tern feeling confident. They're going to start it up, and you're right, Kai'Sa does exactly that. This Baron is being shredded. Sejuani's around, but she just doesn't know it's happening, and it's gone. No contest at all.
With that much damage on a Kai'Sa, the Baron really can't stand at all for that much amount of time. With that plasma passive from Kai'Sa coming through with that execute HP working out to such a high amount of damage onto neutral objectives, with, you know, like 10,000 HP like the Baron, it just goes so quickly.
Yeah, well, maybe a new title for Sanvete, then call him Prince, because that was the Purple Rain. Baron's gone, and the Purple Rain is now just
stop. When does it stop?
With the Baron minions. It doesn't. It never ends. This is a non-stop punning train machine.
I want to get off Initializer's Wild Ride. I want to get off. Next stop, home.
I'm at home with you.
We are actually at home. There's no escape. There's no escape for Syndra either.
Oh, lost and broken. There's so many puns to be made about that name, and it's just feeling a bit miserable to call it out. 2, 5, and 3. This Syndra has found no safety,
no respite.
You
know the best thing about the thing I said about it? It's like, drawing lines on the cell block wall. Kai'Sa counts the amount of kills you get in the game. So that's, the 9th voice line read out for Kai'Sa there as well on the champion. Really buying into the whole Jailbird philosophy.
It is, and Kai'Sa came through a bit of a contested early game into being an absolute powerhouse. There has to be some way, if Vengeance want a way back into the game, to find their vengeance onto Sanvete, but they've got to get onto him.
Well,
Got to get onto that ridiculously strong carry.
But how can you now? Because there's the ultimate, which is now on a very low cooldown, being at rank 3, has the heal, has a Phantom Dancer, and of course there's a lot of CC to follow in, and of course if you just kill the Kai'Sa, the Victor's still really strong at this point in the game.
There is a lot of CC. There is a crystalline arrow, and all the world on one arrow might be an Ashline, and it might be the one hope. They hook a Nautilus, and that's not the target you want.
Yeah, and I really want to call out MacMan for this game too. The hooks
Really
have
good.
been on point. He might not have the best KDA on his team, but he's had some great CC, and another one lands. It's so important, that ability, and Vengeance have not been able to use it well.
And Law and Order means nothing because the Chaos Storm is absolutely evaporating what remains of Vengeance. It's a double kill for that particular player. Samvete goes legendary. He's 10-2-7, and he'll end with that scoreline with game 1 going the way of Inca Tern. I need to run away.
And Sam's voice will fade into the distance as he has to get back to his webcam on the other side of the house. We do end this first game going the way of Inca Tern. You get to see our lovely faces once more as I get to look at the lovely stats coming out of this game, because I have myself a post-game lobby. It's actually well, it might be somewhat surprising given that the pentakill went over to the Kai'Sa. It was Victor coming in tops in the damage chart, and then it was Aatrox after that, who was wailing on the Mundo the entire game. Really big game from Inca Tern's carries.
Indeed, and I'm back. Glad to be here. The transition was seamless, let me tell you. I didn't fall over nearly, none of that happened. You didn't see any of that.
You didn't
But
break any inanimate objects, nothing.
I didn't.
You didn't
Just some
cause
pride.
more property damage, like the towers being destroyed that game.
No, but a little bit of chaos was exactly what Inca Tern wanted. You were talking about those numbers from the Victor, and yeah, Chaos Storm is an ability, and like you saw in that last team fight, right? Like, deleted 3 people off the map.
Yeah.
They literally just evaporated. The rapture happened, and they went to grey screen
That's
heaven.
man.
It felt
It's just-
like.
the universe moves in a way of increasing entropy, and it moved the way of Inca Tern. So I think the really big thing about this for me is that Inca Tern, they needed a broken up style of game. I was
They
talking about,
did.
well, you know, lots of AP damage, and as much, okay, no, the Kai'Sa did get a lot of AD, went for a different build there, and but what it meant is that the 5v5 never really came to fruition for the side of Vengeance. You know, they never managed to get the huge Ash picks either. A lot of arrows went missing in the mid game, and eventually it just got to the point where the Kai'Sa just run over the front line and kill the back
Yeah.
line too.
I mean, also more importantly, like we saw Hodgson in that sideline. Like eventually, that Aatrox just lost priority.
Well, he
Like,
was the Mundo was unkillable. Probably out damages Aatrox if he's trying to kill the wave instead of him too. I don't think either of them particularly kill each other. But yeah, no,
No,
Hodgson's
not at all.
Mundo once again a very high value pick. So we will be moving into game 2 very shortly after this.
We will, and I suppose we'll take one last point of analysis before we run out and get onto a break. There is some lovely talks from, of course, the fact that my camera is in a bit of an awkward position, so I have to be around for the microphone, but it means you just see a lot of my chest right now, apparently. So I'm going to try and reposition myself so people can see what's going on.
We are the exhibitionist cast.
I know, apparently this is what it
that's
is.
yeah.
Look, well, I don't have you've got your shrine. I have unfortunate camera angles. That's the best we've got. But we've probably got one time for one more point of analysis. And I have got a
Besides
question.
your camera angles.
No, not where I was going for, but here we are. We'll try and move swiftly on because I'm now embarrassed, and that's always a bad sign.
Well, I guess the point of analysis will be, okay, Vengeance, you got a bit slapped in the late game team fight.
Yes.
What are you going to do to try and adapt to that? Because I think this whole plan of like having the Syndra being the immobile carry and then not really get ahead in that game, but not be able to really pull anything through from that, particularly when you should be playing front to back. The Syndra died a lot in team fights.
Yes.
How are you
a
going
lot
to adapt
between
around
team
that?
fights. Picked off
Exactly.
a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you going to play around this? How are you going to come back and make it into a 1-1 and eventually a 2-1 if you want to win? If you're interested in winning this series, how's it going to happen?
Yeah, I think on that point as well, like the bot lane kind of got a little bit run over after a point, and they didn't get structures. They had a gold lead and no structures for such a long time. They need to
That
think
mid
a
lane
little bit
turret,
more.
particularly, right?
Yeah, they need to think about finding a little bit more advantage on that front because it just meant they lost the vision control and Syndra had nowhere safe to be. But on that point, we're going to go to a very short break and we'll be back with game 2 of Inca Tern versus Vengeance right after this. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and myself and Nymera are back for game 2 between Inca Tern and Vengeance, with Inca Tern coming out to a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and what a game it was, right? There was some early game back and forth with the laning phases going kind of a bit to either side. We saw, the Mundo get shut down by the top duo event, but it wasn't enough. So for this next game, it's actually going to be a switch of sides. So Vengeance will be taking the blue side, and Incaturn being going on to the red side. We'll see if that affects the draft in any way, because yeah, it looked like one of the sides, particularly Incaturn, it just ended up doing much more in the late game.
So that's the score over here for Stream 1. And before we go into any more analysis on this point, worth pointing out over on Stream 2 how things are going over there with Deja Vu Academy and Natural Summoned Killers Academy. If you don't want spoilers, maybe mute for 2 or 3 seconds. Of course, we're looking at Deja Vu Academy over there, 1-0 up going into the second game there, starting off pretty strong. Go join Demo and Katsuka if you're interested in that match. Otherwise, stick around here as we continue to break down a little bit what happened in game 1 and look to see what's going to happen in game 2.
And actually, more importantly, try and find out like what is your journey, what is your quest, how does it go when you move between the camera seat to the casting seat? What trials have you faced to do that?
My man, there have been many epics written in the
Did you
history
find a
of
hobbit?
our race. I didn't find a hobbit, but I did find some Greek gods and a man named Odysseus who is still lost and looking for home.
In our home. Wow, that's
Yeah, he was
incredible.
just turned up. It was amazing. It was pretty good. I spoke in verse. I fought off some interesting sea monsters and found my way here, where I nearly fell over a beanbag.
Oh wow, that was truly the highlight of that task.
Yeah, it was the hardest obstacle I faced by far.
I can only wish you luck in your next journey, which will be coming.
I'm gonna need
soon,
it.
as we will be going into Champions Select sooner rather than later. I do believe that both teams are ready, so you can listen to us for a little bit longer, and then we're gonna have the mad dash of Sam coming into this other room. But yeah, so I
Okay.
think going into this next draft phase, I'd like to see something which isn't the Syndra out of
Okay. What do you want to see in
Watson Broken,
response?
I know he plays a lot of Tristana. Tristana was buffed very recently, but it's just that Syndra against heavy dive comps really struggles to get people off of her. You've only got one E, and if you fluff that, it is kind of bad. We saw that also. The front line wasn't quite able to shield that Syndra well enough, so
No.
every time the one shot potential was coming out of the Syndra, it meant that the Syndra was kind of turned around on and it didn't end up quite working out. Often meant that the Syndra went down instead of getting the kill.
Yes, and we also saw like Sheriff playing a very front foot Thresh, which is great, but when you've got an Ashe and a Syndra that they need peeling for, you sometimes want to be sitting a little further back to be offering those lanterns out, and maybe there's only one lantern and 2 carries, and that
Sitting
proved a
further
bit of a
back.
problem in that game.
He was in a full recliner that game.
Well, there you go. Maybe
yeah, I think that the Thresh was actually pretty good. I think the Thresh, on the whole, made a lot of impact in the laning phase. Didn't die too egregiously. Ended up most of the deaths were from some very heavy forced plays from the side of Incaturn. Most of it, I think, was generally the messier style of play, which we do see in the Balance League, favored Inca's comp at the end of it. I was talking about the
we
start.
talked about Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I was talking about, well, I mean, they're kind of a bit mono damage if they don't get super far ahead. And as soon as the tank items come in, it can be a little bit difficult. But that only really matters if it does come down to a very organized 5v5. Barely did that this game. We did see a couple of team fights go the way of Vengeance. Just wasn't that for the majority of them.
No, we saw the one fight early on where of course the victor got a little caught out, but that was the one time the Raging Platypus, and that only made him mad. And we saw what Chaos Storms did in the late game.
We talked the last time we cast Raging Platypus. I raised the point that his name is a Raging Platypus. That implies the existence of other emotional platypuses.
Indeed.
Maybe it's like the pantheon of platypi. It's like and you've got like the overwhelmingly sad platypus, like the apathetic platypus.
Maybe it's actually more like a Power Rangers thing where you've got like an
it's
emotion
like
instead of a color.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. But not just that, but you've got emotion is like your color. And then actually, when you transform into like the Megazord type thing, maybe that's the animal it is.
Oh, so actually every animal is made of its constituent raging parts.
So it could be an apathetic kangaroo would be another member of the team.
And that will be the name of my new Smurf.
There you go, apathetic kangaroo. You heard it here first. Go steal it from him for me.
Exactly. And okay, it looks like both teams are now ready. So we are going to start heading into Champions Select. So, Sam, better get your hiking boots on. Make it through Mordor once more. Find yourself a hobbit this time and get ourselves into Champions Select. We are in there now. So see you in a bit. He's muted the mic. He's coming over. He's trying his very best. I'm going to switch my post-its over because I realized that the teams have changed sides and they're very helpful for me to realize which teams are actually playing. And it looks like the Fizz will be the first ban once again. And,
you won't believe what I saw this time.
it's dangerous to go alone. Did you at least have a Pokemon to go into the long grass?
I did. I had a Pikachu. I ran into this man called Ash, who doesn't seem to have aged in centuries. It's been an awful trauma for him.
Maybe you would have run into
tried to mug me for money.
Maybe you would have run into Afior, the guy who was asking me in the break. Actually, he's one of the summers, one of the players in the Advanced League. So thank you for that question, Afior. Good content, I guess. Actually, largely we're seeing ourselves some similar bans. It's going to be the Fizz, going to be the Gragas, and the Oriana, but this time the Thresh is going to be a band away.
There will have to be a new sheriff in town then. That will be a different pick for Thrun, who, as you said, a lot of good stuff from him, but only so many lanterns to go around when you've got a lot of lacking peel.
It's a dark place, not enough lanterns to light up everything and keep your team safe and sound. The Kaiser this time going to be banned away from Sam Verte. He did get the Pentakill.